Hey guys, this is Blue. Today I wanted to go over the AM map a little bit, particularly as it relates to points for alliance missions. I have gotten a few questions from people asking me how they can get more points or how they can beat their previous totals or, come out on top of their teammates if they want some friendly competition. And while I understand that question, it is entirely the wrong question to ask, and that has to do with how points are allocated in this new AM map, which is very different than how it used to be on previous maps, where points were much more evenly distributed. Because as you probably know, there are massive disparities in how points are awarded on this new AM map, both between rooms and even between lanes, particularly in Room 1. The points awarded in Room 1 are far, far higher than in Rooms 2 or 3, and there are also major disparities between the bosses. Both Megatron and Scorp give significantly more points than either Sound Blaster or Dinobot, and I do mean significantly, okay? And so using points as a benchmark to assess how you're doing is not a wise strategy. It doesn't really tell you how you're doing very well. It doesn't indicate how you might do in the future. And it's just not a good benchmark to set goals for yourself, to have some competition with yourself, to do better. And as a result of that, points are largely irrelevant and misleading on this new AM map. They don't count for nothing. Of course, they do mean something, but they paint a very incomplete picture. And so if we take a quick look at the current AM map, right, as you probably know, 1.3 and 1.4 award the most points. And they both give a lot more points than 1.1 or 1.2. Now, they never told us why there were these disparities between lanes and even between rooms, although I sense that in Room 1 it probably has to do with the health of the bots. Brawlers and techs generally have the highest health. Scouts and warriors have far lower health. Okay? It definitely isn't because of difficulty, because how difficult a lane is very subjective. And by the way, most people would agree that 1.4 is the easiest, if not one of the easiest lanes on the map, even though it gives the second highest points total. Now, they never told us this, and honestly, it doesn't really matter because we know that Room 1 gives far more points than Rooms 2 and 3, and there are even these major differences between the lanes in Room 1. And so the point is that if you fight in Room 1 and then a bit in Room 2 and or 3, you're generally going to end up with a lot more points than if you don't fight in Room 1. Okay? And in Rooms 2 and 3, there is a little bit of disparity between the lanes, but not much, and that's because of the fact that the lanes give far fewer points than in Room 1. And as I said, Megatron and Scorp give far more points than either Sound Blaster or Dinobot. Those two bosses do not give many points at all. And there's a few ways that I can illustrate the staggering difference in points awarded. I'll give you 3 examples. The first is that if you were to fight just 1.3 or 1.4, 3 bots, and then you were to fight a lane in Rooms 2, Rooms 3, and Sound Blaster and Dinobot, so that's 8 bots, you would have more points just by fighting 1.3 or 1.4 than fighting those 8 bots I just mentioned between Rooms 2 and 3. So 8 bots would give you fewer points than 3 bots in that example. That is crazy. On a similar note, if you were to fight only Megatron and Scorp, just those 2 bots, you would end up with slightly more points than if you fought a lane in Room 2, Room 3, and Sound Blaster and Dino. That's insane. Okay? So the point is that fighting just a few bots can give you more points than fighting multiple lanes in Rooms 2 and 3. And this is why basing your performance on points or thinking you're cool because you got a lot of points is extremely misleading. And I want to give you one more example just from myself, okay? This is a screenshot of Winterfall. This is me. I run 2 accounts in CanF, right? I have Blue, of course, and Winter. So in Winter, this was yesterday, I got almost 700,000 points. A pretty good day. This is my score in Blue that same day, 270,000. So I got more than 2.5 times as many points in Winter as I did in Blue. So approaching 3 times as many points. And so if you look at these point totals, you might think to yourself, wow, like I did way better in winter than I did in blue. But I didn't. In winter, I cleared 8.5 bots. In blue, I cleared 6.5 bots. So I only cleared 2 more bots in winter than I did in blue. And I ended up with more than 2.5 times as many points. That's insane. The reason for that, of course, is because with winter, I fought in room 1 and I took down Scorp. Whereas with blue, I only fought in rooms 2 and 3 and I didn't fight any of the major bosses. The crazy thing here is that with blue that day, I fought 3.2, which I have not done in months. And at high levels in particular, any lane can be difficult if you haven't fought it in a long time. I was a little worried about it, but I got through it. And so if anything, I might actually say that I'm more proud of my performance in blue that day than winter, even though I got so many more points in winter. And so that is another illustration of how misleading the points can be on this new AM map. Okay? And so if you want to improve, if you want to have competition with yourself, which is the best way to compete, okay? The best thing to do is to just basically forget about points and focus on how many bots you're taking down. That's what matters. Because if you can clear, say, 3 lanes or 2 lanes plus a couple of bosses, if you can take down 8, 9, 10 bots, especially on this map with no revives, that's a really good day. That's an impressive performance. The points don't matter. Okay? Focusing on the amount of bots you take down is a much better benchmark. It gives you a goal to strive for. And by the way, it's more helpful to your team. Because at the end of the day, AMs are about your team. They're not about you. They're not about looking cool. They're about helping your team to get to 100%. Because every serious competitive team wants to get to 100% exploration. That's the goal. So focusing on your bot totals, right? If you took down 6 bots yesterday, can you get down 7 or 8, right? That is a much better goal to strive for and much more honest because you're not focusing on these ridiculous disparities in points, okay? Because the thing is, a lot of people do focus on points, and I get it, okay? They look cool, all right? They're fun. It looks awesome to see your name at the top of your BG or to be the top scorer in your ally, okay? I'm sure that, whenever the day comes that I have my highest point total ever, I'm going to feel cool for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to get over myself. Because I know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. All that matters is getting as many bots down as possible so that my team and my BG can get to 100%. That's the goal. So focus first on how many bots you're getting down. And second, another great thing is your own flexibility and adaptability. Meaning, can you change lanes when you need to? Can you go to a different lane to help a teammate out who's in trouble? That's also super impressive. If you're just doing the same 1 or 2 lanes every day forever and you don't have any flexibility, that's much less impressive, even if your points total is really high, okay? And I would say especially if your points total is really high because then that's a very misleading picture of how you're doing. But if you're the kind of player that can clear multiple lanes and you can switch to a different lane if you're needed, that shows that you're willing to push yourself and it also makes you a better teammate in your alliance. Okay, so like I said, points have their place, they're fun, they're cool, and remember, by the way, if you are clearing lots of bots and if you're focusing on getting more bots down, generally speaking, that's going to result in a really good points total anyway. But the points need to be secondary. They should be a byproduct of getting a lot of bots down and clearing as many lanes as you can. Okay, so I will leave it there for now, guys. Do let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.